Welcome to Friday 15, everyone. My name is Brian Beck. I'm here with Andy Hoare, your master B2B dynamic duo. And today we're here for Friday 15, talking about all kinds of fun stuff. And we're going to talk about this stuff, mobile. We'll get into that in just a minute. But Andy, welcome to Friday 15.
Yeah, great to be here. We got some very interesting breaking news to discuss.
Yes, we do. Let's go ahead and get there. Amazon this week, right, aims to speed up delivery to 4,000 rural communities by the end of this year, bringing same and next day delivery to more than 4,000 small towns by the end of this year. So my goodness, Andy, this is same day delivery. I mean, this is incredible. What's Walmart doing in response to this?
Well, Walmart's opening dark stores, which we know has been around for a long time in retail, but I never thought I'd hear Walmart doing that. Those are basically stores that aren't open to the public. They're kind of like urban distribution centers where, they just have windows, for example, and you can see from the picture that I think that's kind of a representation of what it looks like. But now they want to reach 90% of America with 3-hour deliveries. And I think they'll be able to pull that one off because they have stores in, I think I've read something, it's like they have stores within 15 minutes of 90% of America. So it's not too far off where they are right now. But this is fascinating because of two things. One is the battle was over urban America. Now it's moving to rural America. And it's just they're seeking new markets, right? And they've got the infrastructure in place to do it. But the fascinating part about this is that rural America, there aren't many alternatives out there. So,
right.
In urban America, you've got all sorts of Uber, DoorDash, you got all these different, UPS, et cetera, but pretty much UPS and FedEx have not penetrated rural America. And so Amazon's like, hey, well, man, we can do this.
Yeah.
And they're going to take on Tractor Supply Company, which is a blast from my past because I grew up in Southern Ohio and we had the TSC, as we called it, right down the street.
Yep.
And it's kind of a general store for, farmers, et cetera. Used to always smell like fertilizer. That's what I remember when I would walk in the front door. But Amazon's now taking that on. Who would have thought the book company from 1996 would be taking on the company that sells fertilizer in rural America with its delivery network? So there's that. And then, of course, Walmart is already there. But I think the other dimension of this is not just about B2C, because a lot of the companies a lot of people that shop at TSC, for example, are small businesses, farmers, distributors, et cetera. So this is really as much a B2B play, in my opinion, as a B2C play. But what do you think?
Well, I totally agree, Andy, and I can give a specific anecdotal point on this. One of our community members, Trent Goyer at Grasshopper Lawnmower, they make big commercial lawnmowers, and they did an analysis of where their Amazon sales are going. And guess what? The majority of them are going more than 70 miles away from the nearest dealer. Where are those dealers located? They're located in towns and cities. So they're serving rural America through Amazon. So, and that's before even Amazon announced this, this additional investment to speed delivery into these markets. They just see this as a strategic, Amazon does as a strategic move. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see, obviously Amazon has Amazon Business and it's going to be a little stronger, I think, in the B2B side than Walmart will be, but we'll see. I mean, Walmart pays attention to what Amazon's doing. So, there's it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. All right, we got to get to our topic, Andy. Our topic today is, why is B2B lagging on these things, these mobile devices? What's going on here, Andy? Well, when we did a study, our survey of B2B executives just recently this year, we found a number of data points which sort of raised our eyebrows. 34% of B2B companies have less than 5% of their mobile sales coming from mobile, their e-com sales. Only 20% of B2B firms achieve more than 21% of mobile sales. 18% of these companies don't even track mobile sales. And as we looked at, their spending priorities and investment priorities, mobile ranked amongst the lowest. So, Andy, what is going on here? These companies are not investing. And is it because they're not buying? Is this a self-fulfilling prophecy? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. I mean, every company is different. Some companies, there is a low propensity to buy on mobile devices. Going back many years, I studied this when I was at Forrester, and since then, So there is some truth to that, but there are also industries where it's not the case. And so, but I think there's this blanket understanding that mobile is still over the horizon for B2B. But we have a slide here that says, "Is this a self-fulfilling prophecy?" And what did we get
Right.
from? We got tons of comments online about this, and it was all sort of mapping to this particular point, which is, you know, companies don't think B2B buyers buy on mobile, therefore they don't sell on mobile. And it's like, what is this? I mean, don't we have data? I mean, isn't this 2025? Can't we test this out? And by the way, a little nuance than all B2B buyers, we don't think they buy on mobile. I mean, that's just insane.
Well, think about it for a minute, right? I mean, when we look at the statistics on the consumer side, it's enormously mobile. I mean, I remember even when I was running, 7, 8, 9, well, I guess more like 10 years ago. I mean, we're talking about a decade ago. We were getting enormous when I was running e-commerce at retail companies, enormous amounts of sales from and traffic from mobile devices. The stat today is about 60% on the consumer side of e-commerce revenue for large retailers comes from mobile devices. Guess what, folks? Those are the same people that are buying from your business now. These are the same, your millennials are now in a buyer seat, as we'll show you in a second. We got some data on that in here. Is it self-fulfilling? I think there's some truth to that, Andy. But I mean, you look at industries like HVAC, right? I mean, here's a good example. The people in the field, they're not sitting in front of a laptop computer researching and buying product. They're sitting in front of an HVAC system or an electrical system with their mobile phones, looking for products and solutions. Don't you think this would drive a lot of this, and particularly as these folks are younger, younger and younger in terms of they're digitally native? What are your thoughts?
Well, and this one kind of hits home because my brother-in-law is an HVAC guy, and he's been using mobile device for, I don't know, at least 10 years now. And when he's in the field, that is his lifeline. And so when he's ordering parts, he's ordering parts. There's a picture here of somebody taking a picture of something. That's very common. They do videos, they send them back and forth, they add things to the cart, they order it during the morning when they're looking at it, and they go at lunch and pick it up. And it's usually at a will call window. They're not
Right.
doing that on a laptop or a desktop. They're doing it on their phone, either by calling
Yep.
or increasingly by going to the website. So when people say that, nobody's buying on mobile, I'm like, hey, there are guys today that are using mobile. And I bet Granger and companies like that would beg to differ because
Yes.
many of them have developed technology where you can just take a picture of something and it'll, using even AI today, figure out what it is and then tell you, is this what you need or what you want? And then
Exactly.
reorder the part. So there's a disconnect here about I think the philosophy about mobile and the reality about mobile.
Well, yeah, because the buyer base is changing. This Pew Research found that 75% of Gen Zers use their phones as their primary device for online ordering. Well, guess what? Gen Zers also now are projected to be 30% of the workforce by 2030. Gen Zers are changing the workplace, folks. I mean, so, if you're not accommodating this, if you're not thinking this is coming, I mean, back in the day, I remember, 15 years ago, Andy, in the retail side, we're like, no one's going to buy a mobile phone. The screen's too small. They can't see all the product details, blah, blah. And also the speeds weren't there. But, but that all changed so quickly. And it took folks who were not thinking ahead on the retail and consumer side were left behind. We were losing market share if we weren't paying attention to what was happening on mobile. This same story, as in, so many different aspects of e-commerce, is playing out in B2B, just like it played out in B2C, I think. What are your thoughts?
Well, this Gen Z thing is real because in doing a little bit of research for this, I was kind of surprised. The oldest Gen Zers now depends
Yeah.
on whoever's got a different measurement, but it's 30.
Right. Right.
30. And there are a lot of technicians, there are a lot of junior people, a lot of people buying for companies and all walks of life, a lot of
Mhm.
drivers. These people are under 30 and they grew up with these things in their hands.
Yep.
And so I think part of the problem is that we still have this mentality of the people who are making the decisions are still like in their 60s and their 70s. And for them, the mobile phone is still a device they used to call on. They've got to
Right.
think less about themselves and more about their kids and their grandkids and how they're operating. because I just really think there's a disconnect here. Again, not every industry is ready to go full mobile, but there are plenty of industries where people are using their mobile phones at least to do significant research where you got to play, and in some cases to actually buy. And yet, again, we'll see here in a moment, there are a lot of people who don't even feel like it's worth a worthwhile investment. They don't
Well,
measure it. They don't know any about it.
well, but think about it for a second, Andy. I mean, our community, right? Our community that we surveyed and got those statistics from, these aren't the 70-year-old, 60-year-old CEOs. These are the folks that some of them are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and they're leading digital at their organizations. These are the forward-thinking people in our industry. So I don't know whether it's either a misconception that's gotten to them through the organizations they're in or something, but it feels to me like even those who are digitally more sophisticated in B2B are missing something here. And maybe they don't realize that this is happening. And maybe that because Gen Z is still young and we don't have Gen Z in these roles yet, maybe there's a generational misunderstanding there to some degree, or you know what I mean? Like so even amongst those who are digitally advanced, we're not getting it.
Well, let's be honest here too. I think B2B e-commerce teams are notoriously understaffed. This
True.
starts at the top, right?
Right.
A lot of family-owned businesses, kind of legacy thinking. It was the website team, that's now running a $1 billion website. But small team, and they've probably got a lot of priorities. And
Yeah.
when they look at the long list of priorities, starting with fixing the data, full stop.
Yeah.
When you look at that long list, mobile slips down to the bottom. But I think that there are companies that are going to get blindsided here, because the other thing about this data is that not only is it Gen Z going to be 30% of the workforce by 2030, which is less than 5 years away now, but by 2035, which will be here in a blink,
Yeah.
which is less than 10 years, they're going to be the largest generation of the workforce. And so they are definitely mobile first by then. And we know that some of these projects take years and years to develop. They shouldn't, but they do. And so if you're one of those B2B companies that it's going to be a 3 to 5 year plan, you better get going on this really soon, because otherwise you're going to wake up one day and you're going to be really surprised by everybody's buying on a completely different platform than the one you're optimized for.
Well, and the good part is, and you're close as anybody to this, or closer than anybody probably, Andy, is that the platforms are supporting this, right? There's mobile capabilities in these B2B e-commerce platforms for commerce, for research, for search, for all those things that you need to be effective. It's really just a matter of prioritizing the rollout. And so if you're rolling out a new e-com platform, or even just investigating your existing, it's a matter of spending time on it and bandwidth on it, I would think. I mean, what's your view on that? I mean, these platforms better than anybody.
Yeah, the platforms have the capability. They tend to reflect what the market's looking for. So maybe they have mobile apps, but they haven't invested a ton in them. They're sort of basic, but generally speaking, they can do enough to accommodate selling. And they don't have to be, we're not talking about B2C, mobile apps that can track everything, but they've got what you need. It's really more a decision on the half of the B2B companies not to take advantage of it. So it isn't a lack of technology, but that's actually a good segue to the next point here. There was a pretty interesting comment by Shay Inglis, CEO of Acro Commerce, which is an SI in Canada. And he said, the tech absolutely exists, but for manufacturers, and our work is mostly in that space, the mobile experience is often the last thing on the list. It gets deprioritized because the perception is it's too complex, or the ROI isn't obvious, even though it's a huge missed opportunity. I put this in here because I think he captured it eloquently. It's there. The technology is not the problem. It's a matter of will.
Yeah, no question. Thank you for your comments, Shay. No question, Andy. And I think it's just a lack of understanding of what's happening here. And look, let's give credit where, let's give some grace here, because there are certain industries where, yes, the buyer base is maybe not there, right? Maybe not as most of the purchasing is done by a procurement agent behind a laptop or a desktop computer. Fine. It's really all this begs an understanding of what is your customer you need to understand what your buyer is looking for. So if your buyer is that HVAC professional or electrician who's sitting in the field, and has a demand, or I don't know, an elevator repair person or whatever, somebody who is going to be sitting there in the field needs to research and buy, take pictures, visual commerce, AI enabled things, in terms of part search and things. That's all, that's one business case versus the procurement case. So again, understanding your customers. So sure, I'll grant that to folks who are saying, hey, my buyer's not ready for this. And maybe you're right, but I think you really need to understand it and don't challenge your assumptions, right? So we asked our community, Andy, on LinkedIn, what is the top reason that B2B lags in mobile commerce? And the top answer was, not by a lot, but the top answer was B2B buyers don't buy on mobile. So clearly there's that, hey, these buyers aren't buying this way. So I would challenge that, and you should challenge yourself if you think that. The second answer, which wasn't too far behind, 44%, is that B2B firms' mobile sites are poor. The experience isn't delivered. Far lower was sales teams discouraging mobile usage by customers. So really, it's our community is a little bit online, at least in LinkedIn, is a little bit split between those two answers. And again, I think it gets back to your self-fulfilling thing, right? What's your reaction?
Well, I think the only point I would make about this is that AI could be have a significant impact here, because when you can just hop on your mobile phone, type a natural language question and get back, let it do all the thinking, let it do all the navigation, and come back and say, this is the part you need. It's available at the will call window. It'll be there in 30 minutes, or I can have it sent to your site. Is this it? Confirmation, hit yes. So it could be as simple as typing something in, pressing yes, and it's done, which could turn the mobile phone into a pretty efficient ordering device.
Absolutely. All right. We're almost at Friday 20 here, Andy. I got to wrap and we'll go to our announcements. So good discussion today. Enjoyed this one. Folks, remember that the Master B2B Nexus is available. We've released this recently. This is a personal B2B digital lifeline for B2B e-commerce executives running their business in, if you're a manufacturer, distributor. We provide expert advice exclusively for you for handling complex and high-risk decisions, help reduce those risks, get you answers and research quickly. This is a private group. It is a paid service that we're offering now to practitioners, and we've got a number of folks in there. We're excited about where that's going. So go to our website, masterb2b.com, and look for Nexus. You'll find out more. Our forum is also available. This is free for practitioners. Lots of discussions happening in there. It is for practitioners only, so no solution providers or vendors, just folks exchanging ideas and comments, questions about solutions and approaches and hiring and all kinds of questions happening there. So encourage you to go to our website to check that out. And finally, want to remind everyone that our Friday 15 is available via podcast on your favorite podcast service, Spotify, Google, Apple, YouTube, all over the intergalactic universe, right, Andy? So we encourage you to check it out, and please rate us positively. And that helps a lot. Thank you for your help, guys. Andy, any final words before we wrap up for the day?
Yeah, just a quick comment that next Friday is July 4th. So we'll be skipping that, and we'll come back 2 weeks from today, and we'll see everybody then.
Yeah. Happy Independence Day, everyone. We will see you in 2 weeks. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.